we're going to discuss 3 creative ways that you can invest in real estate with little or no money out of your pocket. We're going to be diving deep into wholesaling, how to do it right, how to be smart, all about this investment strategy. In this video, I'm going to put myself out of business by answering the questions: how can I be super targeted with my marketing while at the same time cast a really wide net? Hey, stop what you were doing. The best way in which to leverage YouTube ads for your real estate investment business is to be an authority in the market that you're in as just content that is for free. And in the forecast is rain and money. Now I gotta pick all that up. Why would I ever pay for data?
We're going to talk to you about getting started as a newer real estate investor. What are some of the drawbacks and roadblocks and challenges that you might run into, common pitfalls? Every once in a while, I have a good idea.
Moments of clarity is what I thought. I was like, man, you're really smart. Yeah, no, I just have moments of clarity.
So whether you're brand new to real estate or like many of our done-for-you marketing clients, you've been doing this for years, you'll be armed with the how-to to close more deals and scale your business right now, not later, because the name of the game is speed to lead. Rapid fire, as quickly as you can tap the mouse button. So the more reps you get in, the more confidence you'll have, and that confidence will help you close more deals. There's a lot of different creative strategies that you can do to really help you get a leg up over your competition when you're out there making offers and lock up better deals. If you make your team members and your employees feel more like than anybody else, by definition, they will make the customers and the clients and the sellers and the people that you're working with and you're trying to help solve their problems, they will make them feel like they are the most important people in the world. Good to meet you in per Zoom.
You were waiting to make that joke.
I'm working on my dad jokes. My dad shirt, the roast beef, the cow sitting in the sun, and, you know, I'm working on dad jokes.
Chris closes your deals.
Word, and I'm an MC. C in the sea with the little fishies. So it's time to make it easy.
We are going through this series so that you can see exactly what we're doing to get deals, so that you can emulate that and get deals for yourself. You got to manage your own expectations for success. It's not always easy. It's not always going to be quick. Just stay in it, buddy. You're going to get there. Nobody is going to be pushing you. You don't have a manager. You are the boss. So you have to know that you're going to have to take initiative. You guys want to start getting deals? What are you waiting for?
So let's just start with the basics.
If you're looking to improve your lead management, let's connect.
We are going through the wholesale case study so that you can see exactly what we're doing to get deals.
Real estate investing is not a get-rich-quick scheme.
It's definitely not a get-rich-quick scheme. It can be just a get-rich.
Yes.
Not a quick, not a scheme. There are telltale signs of a property that might be in distress.
Telltale signs or telltale?
So there are telltale signs when the grass is so tall. It tells you that there might be something going on when every other property in the neighborhood is in great shape. You know what it's called?
What's that?
That's called a pro tip. When it comes to what marketing you should deploy, it usually is dependent on 2 factors: time versus money. Nationally, investors are working with us to fulfill their marketing. So nationally, like it's the difference between nuclear and nuclear. I know which one's correct. So if you don't have a lot of this, we're also going to share with you how you can benefit them so that these relationships can truly add value to everybody involved. Real estate, as far as markets are concerned, it's all local. It's all local.
100%.
All right, let's real estate has so many different niches, frankly, niches that even as a seasoned investor, I'm not that familiar with.
For the majority of real estate investors across this country, it's really just a way to provide a good living for their families and live a decent life.
If you're just starting out and you don't have a lot of connections, get out there and get involved in other communities. Start outreach to your buyers, having those conversations with either the buyers themselves or the agents that were on those transactions.
This stuff is groundbreaking, and it absolutely should be integrated into every investor's business everywhere.
If you're considering getting into real estate investments and you say, man, I want to do this, just understand why. If you want to be a successful business owner, regardless of what niche you're in, you have to hire right.
Is it a skill position that requires, intensive training, or is it a task-based position that I could train somebody really quickly?
If you're curating and using data even at a really high level and you miss this one critical piece, you're wasting time and money.
So we come up with all types of creative strategies to make deals work.
There's two schools of thought in the on-market offers that you're sending out. The first school of thought is reach out to every agent before you send an offer out. They're going to be able to put at least a voice to the name that's being submitted on the offer.
What we're going to talk about today is how to quickly and efficiently increase your credit score leveraging credit cards.
Nail it and scale it.
And look what time it is.
It's time to make it easy. And that was super cheesy.
All you need is friends that have access to credit cards with no balances.
That are willing to help.
Yes.
Yeah. This is the exact process that you can use to identify buyers in the markets that you have deals in, as well as private money lenders.
I encourage you, give a private money lender pitch to every seller that you're speaking with. And if you're wondering, how do I do that?
When you have a deal that you're going to wholesale, you put it out there to your buyers list and you tell them that there's already a list in place with an agent at 1.5%.
My goal for this is to be tremendously valuable for you.
You think you can't make money on those? You're wrong. We made so much money on these deals. We love mobile homes.
So I think it's really important that you understand if you're cold calling, they are only prospects.
Yeah, hello. Yes, I do want to sell my house. Thank you for cold calling me.
The fortune is in the follow-up.
Yes, cold calling can be very, very profitable, but you got to take action and get on the phone. And if it's not you, you got to find somebody who's going to be a good closer.
Process that we use with Lazarus Property Group is called a setter closer model.
Sometimes it's advantageous to go out on a limb and lock up a cash deal at a number that's maybe slightly higher than you originally wanted to.
Can I just give her $10,000 to just go kick rocks? Yeah, that sounds good.
Today, we're presenting our agent Jekka with a check for $10,000 for doing, you guessed it, absolutely nothing.
What the heck is the difference between a realtor and a real estate agent? I used to wonder the same thing, and now are one.
It is absolutely crucial that you already have a relationship with an agent in your area set up.
Some of the basic ways you can get involved is you could start out and just communicating directly with agents, build relationships with agents.
I always say this, and it's because I heard this quote from Richard Branson. If I'm the smartest person in the room, I'm in the wrong room.
If you don't have systems and processes in place that you've created and dialed in, then you're not bringing on an employee. You are bringing on a partner without the expectations of what a partner is.
Get educated, but at the end of the day, at some point, you're going to have to take action, and, you have to be an action taker. You just got to go for it.
Wholesaling is simply one exit strategy in a multitude of exit strategies.
want to go out there and then post a job ad without any of these foundational things in place. Do a little bit of work in the beginning to prepare yourself for massive success and a way easier time managing. Learn how you can skyrocket your real estate business and then get more opportunities to share with private money lenders.
What are you? I'm the fly. Bzzz.
So it's time to make it easy. All of this education without action is just entertainment. It's networking and direct to seller. Start networking and aligning yourselves with other people, because Brad is a case study of this.
At some point, you're going to have to step out of your comfort zone and get it done. It's all going to be on your why. That's going to drive you to do it. So guys, keep it easy. If you're just starting out and you don't have a lot of connections, is to get out there and get involved in other communities, real estate REIAs, other investor groups, and just kind of see what other people are doing. But also using Privy.
If you're on the fence whether you should be putting your content out there, you absolutely 1000% should.
If you want to be a successful business owner, regardless of what niche you're in, you have to hire right.
Is it a skill position that requires, intensive training? Or is it a task-based position that I could train somebody really quickly?
Guys, Chris is a great closer if you guys need help closing deals.
All right, guys, this should be a deal.
There's people on YouTube having GPT-3 make AI. So AI making AI.
AI babies is what it is.
Educate yourself, continue to pour, and continue to stay in touch with people who either can be mentors, coaches, trainers.
When you identify those and map those out, it's going to put you in a better position to fill those roles and develop your team out. It's not all rainbows and cupcakes, guys. Sometimes deals don't turn out the way you want them to be.
And he goes over there and just bam, flips it, and it gets everywhere. And
You're funny.
I have a rounder head.
Yes, I have more hair, so it looks bigger.
best dad ever.
Wholesaling is just simply a strategy that I use from time to time, maybe more often than not, to actually transact deals.
Well, if you're just starting out and you don't have a lot of connections, is to get out there and get involved in other communities.
We are real estate investors first and foremost. That's what we're doing all week, all day, every day.
Brad Garcia here.
I'm Chris Deal.
I'm Christian Weatherspoon with Real Estate Investing Made Easy, and it's time to make it easy.
Well, hello and welcome everybody, and welcome to another Feedback Friday. And it is a beautiful day. We got Brad and Chris here joining us, which I'm super excited about because sometimes we're just really involved in the trenches of real estate. And as we have been in the trenches of real estate for over the last about 15 years.
Hey, Christian.
All be present, all be here. Gentlemen.
Christian, we can't hear you, buddy. You're
Welcome everybody to me being unmuted. I appreciate everybody's patience with that. You gotta click the button, guys. Gotta click the button. Well, welcome everybody to a beautiful Friday, guys. How are you doing today?
Dude, I'm pumped. I am so pumped. Got exciting news. It's a beautiful Friday. I mean, if I was in my 9 to 5, I'd say, yeah, we're like at the weekend, but we're in real estate investing. We work for ourselves. So, I mean, every day is a Friday to me. I don't know. How about you, Chris? Chris, you're muted too. Everybody's
muted today.
Everybody's got technical difficulties. Well, at least I don't have a boss that's going to be breathing down my neck, getting mad at me for making a little mistake like that, right? So
that's true.
And it's a fantastic Friday. Super excited, super pumped up with what we have to share. Yeah. So.
By the way, Chris, we're gonna have to link up, and I'm gonna need to talk to you about the write-up I have for you after this.
Getting a pink slip. By the way, who dressed you guys?
Whoa! What?
Man.
Is this a Spider-Man meme moment?
No, I think it's a I am real estate investing made easy moment. It's the new swag.
Yeah, buddy. Talk about branding, guys. You can get yours on the workshop, either in the description, or if you follow me on IG, Brad Does Real Estate. I have the merch shop in my link tree in my bio.
Yeah. Well, as all of you know, we're going to be taking questions live. We're also going to be going through questions that we've got over the last week, even as far as 2 weeks, because some of those get saved for a time where we're going to be talking about specific things. And today we're going to be talking about mentorship and coaching and masterminds and growing your business and doing it that way, as well as those questions that we have. So, we always encourage you to, as you tune in live, drop any questions you have, whether we answer them immediately or whether we get to it. We'll do that for sure, because that's what we're doing this for. And then, of course, the questions that are following up. But I know there are some teachable moments and things that we want to address. We want to bring that stuff up. So, if there's anything in particular, no particular order, that you gentlemen wanted to discuss first. I know before we talked, there were some things you wanted to mention. Go ahead and do that, because no particular order. Mike Lopez, welcome.
Yeah, Christian, I think that button that you have on your on the mini Tim might still be on. Not sure.
Oh, is the audio poor?
It's not terrible, but like when you were raising your desk, you could literally hear the motor going. So it's just picking up some things that it normally doesn't pick up. So I'm not sure what's going on there.
That's less than ideal.
Mike, that's what it is. I think that's what it is.
What was that?
You just got a really good mic.
Yeah.
Really bad mic, obviously.
Bad Mike. Are you saying bad Mike Lopez? Bad Mike?
No, not that Mike Lopez. That guy is a good guy.
Mike is crushing it, by the way. I see him almost every week or so, every couple of days. He's tagging me in some wins, some, offers out, getting offers accepted. I know he's got a couple under contract that he had gotten from the on-market offer system. So Mike really took what we gave him and just kind of briefly taught him and, went for it. And that was with really minimal support, minimal teaching. I think what we're talking about today is going to be something even more exciting and more in depth, coming alongside the community members and just bringing people in, as one would say, under the wing and showing them the fundamentals, getting people started that want to get into real estate, that are in it and aren't happy with the results that they have, been producing. You've been in a couple months. So,
Yeah, how do we want to introduce this, guys? Because I just want to show
Well,
off with rooftops.
Well, what I suggest is what I had mentioned to you before. You were telling me this, and for everybody who's tuning in, just so you know, Brad's been in the real estate investing space for about 2 years. That's probably a very similar story to many of you, as many of you I've personally interacted with, and or you've personally interacted with Brad or Chris individually, and we've heard the stories. What we're hearing is we're hearing us look into some sort of a mirror almost, because it's me, it was 2009, so that's 14 years ago. Chris, it was 4 or 5 years ago. Brad, it was 2 years ago. Some of you, you've been in the game for a long time, just like me. Some of you still are looking to level up your game, and I would say congrats to you on that, because you're not among those people who have gotten to a point in their real estate investing business where they say, because time has elapsed and the clock has turned, that means that I've leveled up my skills. Well, maybe you have, but you've put yourself on that pedestal where you're like, "Oh, I'm not gonna learn anything else. I don't need to." That's not you, is what I'm saying. And that's not me, and that's not Chris, and that's not Brad. So we were talking about having a conversation with Brad from 2 years ago, back in time. I didn't know you guys knew this, but like, we're time travel made easy.
Yes.
For the opener here, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then kind of feeling like it was revolutionary, because we had a lot of people who were coming to us and saying like, guys, we actually want to do this. And Brad will talk more about what this is. And then Brad said, it's because I wouldn't be where I am right now if I didn't have Christian Weatherspoon, if I didn't have Chris Deal. Chris closes your deal. And we joined other communities. And even though we've been in the education space for a long time, and Chris and I both were at a very successful real estate and investing education company, of which I was in it for 10 years, and we learned and we grew, like we got into another one. So that's where I think we should start. Tell us the who you were 2 years ago, because it parallels people who are viewing right now. And you guys, give me a yes, that's me in the comment section as Brad talks about it. Engage with them. Ask questions, same questions that he would have, because we'll get into that as well. Take it away, Brad.
Yeah, dude, thank you. So like, yeah, I mean, what I've been hearing, from, I talk with a lot of people in my day-to-day that are in the real estate space, old, experienced and brand new guys. And across the board, it's always, about, hey, do you guys come alongside? Do you guys kind of teach us how to do this? Do you have any coaching available? Is basically what they're asking. And I was thinking, like, I did that when I first started in a roundabout way. So my journey 2 years ago started. I knew nothing about real estate, absolutely zero, except that real estate meant houses. And I knew that my end game was not going to be working my 9-to-5 corporate job, building it, just like putting money into my 401k, and hopefully that'll sustain me when I get to an age old enough that it's big enough to where I live in San Diego, that amount of money would allow me to live until the end of my life. That kind of scared me, because I know just based off of statistics, and reports that come out, that the age that you have to retire is going up and up and up. And I don't want to be, the 80-year-old, having to work somewhere because my retirement ran out. And so my thought was, well, 90% of millionaires in the United States have been made in real estate. I know most of the people that I know personally that are individually wealthy are in real estate, whether or not they're developers, general contractors, real estate agents, or investors in some form or fashion. And so I wanted to get into the game. But again, I didn't have anybody that was going to hold my hand and tell me how to do this until the Lord provided it. I met Chris at church. We linked up, and I actually heard from a couple of people that Chris was doing. They're like, hey, talk to Chris Deal. He's doing something in real estate. I don't know. Like, nobody knew how to actually articulate wholesaling in a way that made sense, and doing real estate investing in that way. And so I was like, okay, cool. So we were actually at at men's group Bible study with Jay Wegter, one of the elders of church. And I met him. We talked outside. I remember at Jay's house, kind of about the commission structure, what he's doing, and I was on board. I was like, I don't care if it doesn't make me a dime. I will at least learn what this guy knows. And if I don't make a dime and I'm not successful, I'll just go do it myself. Obviously that was not the case because we have been successful, but yeah, that's where I was. So thinking back to Brad 2 years ago, knowing nothing, having no experience other than my phone sales and sales experience, Chris and Christian taught me how to talk to sellers, how a transaction works, what wholesaling and real estate investing as a whole were. They were already doing the lead generation and already building strategies and deliverables to people who needed help with this. And so I, by osmosis, kind of learned the lead generation from that. Everything that I needed, becoming part of their team, I learned. I would not have had that if I was a lone wolf. I was a solopreneur and I was trying to get started. I would have had to learn all of that the hard way. And that's kind of what led all of us. I know you guys have similar stories that I think would be really, really beneficial to talk about. But without somebody, a mentor, and in my case, a couple mentors, teaching me how to do it along the way, I would not be where I'm at today, which is W-2 free, full-time in real estate, being successful. I have control of my own destiny. I know my end goal is to not live off of my 401k or retirement accounts. It's going to be living off of passive income from the real estate, my portfolio. And I would not have had that without the teaching, the support, the guidance, everything that I got working with Chris.
You mean without us yelling at you, right? Like yelling?
Yeah, those yelling sessions, those always, it was weekly, sometimes daily.
One for each ear.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've been, conditioned to it, coming from the Marine Corps, right?
That's right. Yeah. No, I know we've had conversations where you're like, hey, I just want to make sure I'm not being too direct. Maybe because we had a conversation where he was like, hey, you need to do this, instead of, hey, do you think you could possibly try this one? I'm like, dude, I've had way worse.
Well, the funny thing is that whole thing stemmed from, quick sidebar, right? So I'm like, oh man, I'm super direct, that's just me, very direct. And I've had some challenges with that. And Christian, your audio is still fuzzy, man. There's something going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, super direct, and at a previous job, as a matter of fact, the job that Christian and I met at, which was a real estate investing education company. And, I got brought into the office with my manager and I'm like, what's going on? You could tell he was going to talk to me about something not positive. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? And I'm thinking it's something big happened. Somebody, was pissed off about how I closed them on a sale or something, right? Turns out apparently the support staff got butthurt because rather than me putting all the niceties in my emails before asking what I needed support for, I didn't do that. And it was just very direct, hey, I need to get this for, this student or this for this person, right? People are getting butthurt about that because it was just too direct. Come on, snowflakes.
Yeah, you are lucky you don't have a boss now, aren't you?
Dude, I love it. The fact that I don't have to worry about getting pulled into the office. If I do, I'm standing in the mirror.
Well, you do get pulled into the office because we're each other's bosses. That's what accountability is. And that's why coaching and mentorship is so important, because if you do not respect that person enough to actually allow them to hold you accountable, you're going to set yourself on fire like the emojis that Ben just sent. Hello. Good morning, guys. Good morning to you too, Ben.
So I told my story. My cards are out on the table. Who wants to go next? Because I think
Chris, go next. I'm going to work on this audio issue. I think I know what the problem is. I used to be a geek. I actually don't wear glasses, so I'm not anymore. But
now he's just a nerd.
Yeah, Nah, I'm just a real estate nerd.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, Brad and I's story is very similar. And, I would imagine Christian's somewhat similar as well. But, I came from a background of the interesting thing is my very first job. I always had this underlying desire. I don't know where it came from, but I just had this immediate attraction to running my own business, being an entrepreneur. The very first job I ever had, well, I worked at a Boy Scout camp for like a year before my first like real job. But that's not a real job. You're just like on the job type of thing. But my first real job was McDonald's, right? Like a lot of people when they're 15, 16 years old, in Philly. And I'll never forget, I worked there for like 2 weeks, and they do the biweekly pay period. I get my first check and I look down and I'm like surrounded by like all my buddies who all work there too. And, we all get our checks, everybody opens it up and everybody's like, oh dude, look, I made like X amount of dollars, whatever it was. Right. And I didn't think any of that. Like, I didn't look at the number. I did, I wasn't worried about like what I was going to go do with that money. My eyes just immediately went to the bottom right corner and the signature line where the check is endorsed by the manager, the owner, the CEO, whoever it was. And my immediate thought was, man, whatever number is on this check, the guy that's signing this check definitely has a check that's paid out to him that's a lot larger than this one. And I want to know how to be that guy. Like, I want to be the guy signing the checks. And so I always had this passion for entrepreneurialism. And, fast forward, I mean, I did all types of jobs, and then fell into sales and was doing sales for like 25 years. But I never started my own thing. And part of it was because I just didn't know what I wanted to start a business in. And my mom was a real estate agent for like 15 years. And honestly, it pushed me away from real estate because I saw how demanding it was on her lifestyle and how it affected my lifestyle as a child, like her not being around a lot, nights and weekends. She was tied up doing showings and everything. And so it kind of like pushed me away from real estate, and I didn't really know about the investing side of things. And then fast forward to, finding a job with a company that educates people on real estate investing. And, if it wasn't for that, I probably wouldn't be where I'm at today, because it really, like to Brad's point, is having that mentorship. And, quite honestly, that company, there was no way that I would have been able to pay for the coaching and the support and the mentorship that they have. I mean, they were charging $30,000 to $50,000 for this curriculum. And, they had a lot of people. I mean, they were doing, events, probably 8 to 12 events nationwide every single weekend with anywhere from 500 to 2,000 people at these events. And they would sign people up there. Like, that was the pitch. You go to this 3-day event and they would pitch you on this program, and then you sign up, and then that's your $30,000 to $50,000 program. And then there were other bolt-ons. I mean, I know people that have spent like $80,000 with this. I'm like, man, there's no way I would ever be able to afford something like that. And I was just blessed to be in a position where I lived right down the street. I literally rode my bird scooter 7 minutes. Well, not my bird scooter, but I'd rent a bird scooter every morning and ride it. It took me 6 minutes to get from my house to the office where I would work. And the blessing was, by working there, you got access to this whole curriculum and this whole training and mentorship and everything for free. And the biggest shocker to me, and this is something, right, like to, Michael Lopez, right, like who's like killing it right now. He's doing stuff. At the end of the day, it comes down to taking action. The interesting thing was, on my day of orientation there, I must have been naive, right? Because I went around and they introduced you to all the people at the different departments, and they're like, hey, this is so-and-so. I had 3 questions. It's like, what's your name? How long you been here? How many deals have you done? I just assumed everybody was doing deals. And I was shocked over and over and over again that every time I talked to somebody, they're like, oh yeah, my name's John, been here 3 years. I just haven't started my business. I'm like, what? Like, oh, I'm married. Yeah, I've been here for like 13 months. I haven't even started going through the curriculum. What? I'm so confused by this, because people pay $50,000 to have access to this, and you have it for free. And that like definitely reinforced the fact that when something's free, people value it less. And I think there's a lot to that. But I was just shocked, right? And so I told myself, I was like, I am not going to be that person. I can't be here. Like Chris Deal in 12 months or 18 months can't come walking in the door and ask me those 3 questions and me respond to him saying, yeah, I just haven't gotten around to it. Like that cannot be me. And so like I immediately poured in and I sought counsel, right? And Christian was working there and he was actually a coach. And so I approached him and I was like, hey, can you coach me? Like, you know, I'm going through the curriculum. I need help. I want to do this. I'm going to do this. And I took advantage of that mentorship and that coaching and everything. And man, it literally changed my life, man. Financial freedom, time freedom. Like we just had a baby in December and I'm blessed for the fact that like I can literally walk out of here right now and go downstairs and my baby's right there. And I get to see all those milestones. So that time freedom, that financial freedom, the control of my destiny, right? Like I get to dictate where my life goes and where I end up. And especially because I got that job during COVID, nothing made it more apparent to people. And if you're watching this, you probably felt the same thing because many of you probably lost your job at that time too, which I'd lost my job at that place, which was a blessing. Nothing made it more apparent to me that I am not in control of my destiny as long as I am a W-2 employee for anybody else. And COVID was the biggest wake-up call to that. And it just really lit a fire under my butt. And I'm sure everybody else on here's butt to like really step up and take control of our destiny and really work towards that generational wealth and that financial freedom. So, yeah, it's, you know, that's my story. I know Christian has a different story as well. So would love to hear that.
My story starts off when I was born. No, I'm kidding. Guys.
The world where
what really made you a parent was December when you had your baby. You said it became a parent. That was guys, I'm a dad too, so I got to bring the dad jokes. By the way, if you know, for those of you watching, hey, don't be shy. Throw a dad joke in the comments section, okay? We could use more, namely Chris, but you know, just saying.
I got them on deck, so you just let me know when to throw fire.
Yeah, I'll be really quick, guys. The truth is,
I got the emergency dad joke can.
Yes, and I'm glad that you shared that. That emergency dad joke can has saved your butt on plenty of random calls for dad jokes, which I'm known for. What I'm also known for is I've been in the trenches of real estate crushing it for the last 15 years. No, it wasn't like that. It took some time. For me, I got the education and all that stuff through osmosis, but I was always in video production, and obviously I lost a few know-hows because the audio was all messed up. I hope it's better now. But the whole thing was I was in it, I was steeped in it, and then I got myself a mentor. And over, 5 years, I was like, why am I not doing this? So I started doing it because I was focused on other things. I was a musician. I was actually doing that almost full time as a musician, and I was doing video production. And those two things were really cool. But really cool doesn't pay the bills, y'all. So then real estate investing kind of opened my eyes more to how to do this and wholesale. And I was flipping solo, working 50 hours a week at my day job, and then also flipping properties on the side. And then eventually, quote, on the side. Eventually, I linked up with Chris, and I was like never wanting to partner with anybody because I didn't see anybody who, I just didn't believe. It's all about faith. It's all about belief. If you guys are sticking with us and you're hanging out, it's because you have faith and belief and trust and know and like. And I found Chris, and I was like, you got the it thing. And the it thing, you could put it into too many words, but like it's, do you have drive? Do you have discipline? Do you have passion? So he had all of those. He had all of them. And I knew, like beyond a shadow of a doubt, that this was the guy that I should be linking up with. Not only that, but we connected on our faith too. Which is really foundational and really the primary thing. So I started going to the church that he went to because I went to a different church, which was still cool. It was a good church, but it just wasn't the one that I was supposed to be at. So, he brought him on, man, and we've just been linked up doing real estate. And he said that I taught him and I was teaching him, mentoring Chris. Chris closes your deal, coined by Pace Morby, the one and only. Yes, I was Christopher Deal's mentor. And the truth is, I taught him at some point everything that he knew, but then this is why I wanted to partner with him. He took it and ran with it. And continued to learn. For an example, I did my first deal that I ever did was a combination seller financing and subject to rehab. And I made a lot of money on that deal. It was like a $230,000 flip. So, I was doing the negotiation. I was doing everything by myself from start to finish. I had some help from my younger brother who was also learning from me. But at the end of the day, like, that's my perspective of seller financing and subject to. I was like, it's for transactional cash stuff. Well, Chris was like, oh, that's so cool. I taught him that. But then we joined this mentorship with Pace Morby, and we joined that mentorship because he knew that there was more to it, because if we stop where we are, and this is speaking to people who are seasoned real estate investors, if you stop and you don't continue to learn, then you're just going to start going backwards, whether you know it or not. Like, I went bowling last night on a date with my wife, and I realized, man, that 13-pound ball, even though it's not that heavy, like, that starts to kind of hurt my fingers and my arm after a while because I wasn't sticking with it. I don't do it all the time. So you need to continue to learn. Little bowling analogy. You guys are probably surprised that I went bowling, Chris. I know, because I don't usually get out very much, but we had a date night. But my point in saying that is always continue to ask questions. And good morning, Michael Reyes. It's good to see you here. And continue to pour into those people who want to pour into you. And education is obviously super important where you're learning, but you also want to find somebody else that you can bring alongside you to start pouring into. So as an example, going back to what I was saying with Chris, he comes back after digesting this Pace Morby training and stuff, and he says, yo, dude, did you know that, like, you could buy rentals with subject to and creative financing? And I was like, no, not really. Like, I've never even looked into it. I've never even considered it. So we started learning all that stuff. And then I'm like, wow, next level. I felt like, I don't know, Chris probably has a better reference, but it's whatever video game or whatever movie where you just like morph into the next, like, I'm becoming the machine of, and we felt really great about it. Whatever that was, but
like a mech warrior, right? Like you're bolting on additional, like,
yeah.
I
know what that is. See, I knew you'd have something. So that's kind of the story, and here we are, still doing that. And I've personally been missing the kind of group mentorship aspect of things, and that's part of, before we get into the questions from the past couple weeks. And in addition to answering live questions, that's kind of what we wanted to share. But I won't steal that spotlight. I'll have Chris or Brad share what's coming up next, what we're excited about.
Before we do, I wanted to just share a statistic that I had heard. I was watching Beardy Brandon's page where he interviewed Cody Sanchez. And
shout out Beardy Brandon and Cody Sanchez.
Yeah, I love them. I mean, just awesome. And speaking of mentors, I mean, just learning from people, but she said something really impactful. I was watching earlier today, actually, which was the studies on being around top performers is undeniable. And what they saw was that if you were within 25 feet of a top performer on a sales floor, just by being that close to them, your output increased by 15%. And if you're looking at that from a numbers perspective, if you made $100,000 the year prior, you sit next to the top performer, you're making $115,000 that year. Okay. And likewise, if you sat within 25 feet of a bottom tier performer, a 15% decrease. So who you surround yourself, it quantifies drastically what you guys are taking home and what you do. So I thought that statistic was crazy because and you hear, you are who you surround yourself with all the time, which can be a little cliche, but it's really not, because the numbers don't lie. A 15% decrease. So who you surround? All right, I got a little feedback there. But yeah, Mike, come on down, man, San Diego. I mean, we'll link up when you get here, man. We're still on. What's going on?
It's your audio that Michael Reyes is referencing.
I was like, I hear crickets. I mean, that was a banger, guys. I dropped some hot lasagna for you.
No, by the way, I don't necessarily know what the problem is with my mic yet. We'll get it resolved at some point. But what I will say through the bangers and the hot lasagna that you just dropped, 100%, like I resonate with that. You talk about what Chris said when he was sharing his story about going through all of the halls in this really big company, asking people, right, hey, what's your name? How long have you been here? How many deals have you done? And most people said nothing. What I did was I actually was getting mentorship from the owners of this company, or at least one of them mostly in particular, I would go out to rehabs. I'd walk the rehabs. I'd learn where I got to a point where I could stand outside in that market in particular, look at a house and just know that's going to be $35,000 worth of repair. And after walking around it and through it, it was $34,997 or something like it. We don't get that specific when we're rough estimating, but like to the T, man, that's what it was. And then also Renee Martinez, by the way, welcome, said that Brad's audio is really low.
Oh no.
So just project, speak up, man. Have some authority in your voice. But the big takeaway for me is when I started actively doing deals and pursuing deals, and I was in the video production department even then, before I became a coach and a mentor. My boss, who I actually helped get hired as a manager, who had way more video production experience than me, his name was Joe. He and I were talking one day and he's like, man, I want to do this too, at least on the side. He didn't have a passion for it like I was developing, but then just because I was doing it and he was seeing me do it, and I've never told this story to Chris before or to Brad, he made 80 grand on a wholesale deal within 3 months of just hanging out with me, talking shop about real estate. 80 grand. And all I did was look at some of his opportunities, give him some advice based off what I learned, and he made 80 grand, and it was incredible. It was awesome.
That's legit.
Yeah.
For your first deal?
First deal. So talk about 15K extra. That's just like, that's not even like, we're like 15K. Okay, maybe that's one wholesale deal. Bro, it's so much more when it comes down to, I know my camera went out. That's why you see me right here. I'm just, now I'm talking to you guys. You know, I'm on the screen here. But 80K, bro, that's repeatable. That's not something that's like crazy and out there. And you guys know that in real estate investing. So I wanted to say that the 15% when it comes to real estate investing and aligning yourselves with people who are where you want to be, it's more than 15% in this game.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, and 15%, we're talking about 15% of some big numbers potentially. I mean, like, you know, we've done some pretty massive deals. I mean, we did a $220,000 to $230,000 wholesale deal, you know, so
wholesale assignment.
Yeah. Wholesale deal. 220, single family. It was not a commercial or a multifamily, by the way. Single family, 3-bed, bath, less than 1,500 square feet, and we made $220,000. So, yeah.
I think all of that to say, guys, we have looked at our own experience. And heard the community. We have taken it in. We are actively listening, and what we have come up with is we want to talk to ourselves from 2, 4, and 9 years ago. And we want to say, if that is you, if you are looking to get into real estate investing and you're sitting on the sidelines and you don't know how to get started, or you've just started or have been, doing this for a couple months up to a year or somewhere around there, and you're just not happy with the results, you still have your W-2, you want to be not only financially free, but time free, flexible. I want to be my own boss. I don't want to have to go drive to work every day or be chained to a Zoom where my boss is monitoring my every move. And you want to, have a retirement that's not if just a 401k, you want to get into real estate. We have developed something for you. We are really, really excited about it.
Yes, super exciting.
Yeah, we are. I guess you guys want to tell them what it's called?
Yeah,
Dude, come on, blow the candles out, sing the happy birthday song.
Yeah, let's jump into it. Yeah, no longer will you have to sit quietly behind the screen just watching YouTube videos and going down the rabbit hole of YouTube that perpetually leads you to being up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and sitting on the couch or in your bed, right? We've got some big news. So who wants to share it?
Yeah, so we're actually actively now taking on the community members in our Made Easy community for a weekly mastermind. So that's what it is, where it's not just streamed live or anything like that where we can interact. It's going to be more of this is a group. So that is like what Brad was talking about as it pertains to surrounding yourself. And we're going to have all of these people and we're going to drop the hot lasagna. That's funny. And when it comes to the community, we have a community and you guys can be a part of it if you want to. And I'll drop details about.
Actually, they're already part of the community via our YouTube community.
Well, the Platinum Mastermind weeklies, where we're going to get on a Zoom just like this, and we're going to go back and forth, diagnose deals, go through deals. That's also underwriting and as far as that's concerned. And there's a lot of other things that you guys can share that's part of that, but closing support, disposition support, and then we call that a fast pass. It's like Disneyland. When you go there and it's crowded, go there on Memorial Day weekend, which I think is coming up. And then,
this weekend.
It's this weekend, and then get to the front of the line on Memorial Day. So, and that's exactly what we're doing right now. So it's the weekly community masterminds. There's 3 recurring months of it, right? That is just like one-time price, and we'll throw the details down there for you if you guys are interested in that. So super excited to have that available.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk just to touch a little bit, right? Like what does that even mean, right? Like underwriting support, closing support, disposition support, right? We've all been there. Like when I first started out, without Christian kind of being around me, who had been doing real estate for 10 years, I might be looking at a deal like, I'm not really sure. Is this a deal? Like, should I be spending my time on this or not? Like having him to look over my shoulder and go through my deal analyzer and tell me like, yeah, this needs to be adjusted here. That needs to be adjusted there. And then reanalyze it. By the way, the comps that you're looking at, your property is on a double yellow line. The comps that you're looking at are not on a double yellow line. So, you want to account for that, right? So little nuances that, aren't necessarily picked up just through most YouTube content that you're going to find out there, that you need somebody kind of looking over your shoulder. Closing support, right? Like now, fortunately, I've got 25 years of sales experience. So generally closing is not the problem that I struggle with, but I know there's a lot of people out there that do. There's a lot of people out there that don't even have the desire or the ability to get on the phone with somebody because that's just not their personality type. They don't do that, so there are a lot of people like that. Disposition support, like, okay, now that I got a deal under contract, man, I can't tell you how many times I've seen people, and Christian, I think there's something going on with somebody's audio. But I can't tell you how many times I've seen people in different Facebook groups around real estate investing who are like, man, I just spent all this time getting a deal and I had to back out of the deal because I couldn't find a buyer. Like there was nobody to buy my deal. And I didn't even think that was going to be a problem because, everybody tells me that if you have a great deal, it sells itself. And quite honestly, I really think that is just such a BS line that people say to make themselves feel good. Like if you have an audience of 0, it doesn't matter how good your deal is. right? So you need disposition support. And so these are some of the things that are going to be included in the Made Easy Mastermind community. And we're super excited to roll this out, guys. So Brad, what do you got to add?
Yeah. So again, yeah, we're to bottom line this for you guys so that you know what it is that we're offering and what you guys are going to be getting. Again, if you guys are new to investing, whether or not you've started or not, right? You want to get in, you're on the sidelines or you're in the game and you're just not excited about what's going on in your business. You're not excited about the results. You want somebody to come alongside you and provide support, be a lifeline and have a community that's going to come alongside you. Like everything that we've been talking about, the reason why we've been successful is we've had support in mentors, in community, in everything that Chris is talking about, closing, talking to agents, talking to sellers, underwriting deals, having access to contracts and analyzers, all of the things to get you started off on the right foot. Basically what we're doing, what you would get with the Made Easy Mastermind is 3 months of access into our inner circle. You guys are going to have access to us via the inner circle, the Made Easy Mastermind on Facebook, which is exclusive to this group. If you do join, lifetime access to our Discord, and where you can talk about anything on there, sell deals, talk shop, whatever you guys want. You will have, let me see what else we're dropping in here. The disposition support, the closing support, the underwriting support. You're basically going to have us and access to us in the community to be a sounding board for you, talk you off the ledge if you need to, or tell you need to go forward in a deal, but really what we're talking about here is support, community, and access.
And Brad, so that deal, so we've done a lot of deals together, right? And, you started out in our business as a lead manager, right? So you were basically doing the initial discovery calls, basically a setter, right? Like, so you're going through the initial discovery, talking to sellers, weeding out, good leads, bad leads, things that, aren't even a lead. And then sending them over to me to handle, right, to do the actual closing and everything. So, there's been a ton of deals. Do you remember like how much the first deal was that you had, that you had your hand on that closed? How much was that?
Was that Vista? The Vista property?
It was a property at Borrego Springs. It was a manufactured home, and we made 15 grand on it.
15 grand. So, okay, guys. So just let's back that up, because I don't know that many people on here know what Borrego Springs is. Does anybody in the chat, just put a thumbs up if you've ever seen the movie The Hills Have Eyes. Thumbs up. All right, cool. So we got a couple thumbs up coming. All right, so that's basically Borrego Springs. It's this like dinky town in the middle of the freaking desert. There's literally nothing to do out there. And it's probably not a place that I would recommend you spending a lot of time, energy, and effort to market for deals out there. We actually came across this deal because there was somebody in San Diego that we were marketing to, or actually, no, they were in Arizona. So they were in Arizona, and they actually had a property out there. So we were marketing for a property in Arizona. They didn't want to sell that one, but they're like, I got this property in Borrego Springs. We're like, all right, we'll take a crack at it. We did. That one was actually kind of a long deal, like bunch of problems. And when disposition support.
To that point, Chris, I would not have been able to handle that transaction on my own. I did the discovery call, I did the rapport building, and then what did I do? I passed that off to Chris to close. I literally remember the closing call. What room I was in, like what time of day it was. This was after my W-2 job. I was doing this because I was still part-time when this happened, and I handed this over to Chris to close and to coordinate the rest of the transaction. I was brand new, barely in the game. I had no idea how to do any of this stuff after, even before closing. So again, just a testament to a need for somebody to lean on that knows what they're doing.
You handed it off to Chris, closes your deal?
Chris was the original OG Chris closed your deal with me 2 years ago.
Absolutely.
Closed.
Yeah, and then the disposition on that particular deal was a freaking nightmare. Don't even get me started. There's a buyer that I don't ever want to do a transaction with in my life. Matter of fact, it was so bad that our title and escrow company, who's the sweetest lady in the world, she's like, I never want to handle one of this guy's transactions ever again. Like, he's blacklisted. Christian, your audio is still terrible. It sounds like there's a fan blowing into it.
Sorry.
Just mute yourself when you're not talking. Brutal. Yeah. So yeah, so $15,000. That was the first deal that Brad touched, right? And then from that time, shortly after that, what was the next deal, right? The next one was it Oleander?
Yep.
That was a $35,000 deal.
Yep.
And that one, we locked it up within 3 days of the initial text going out. And then I went out to the property to get it locked up. And then within 30 minutes, I had a buyer already sign an assignment contract. We probably could have made a little bit more money, but at the end of the day, it's speed to lead, speed to deal, right? Get the money quick, get it done. And we did that one. That was $35,000. So you more than doubled your next deal. And then the next deal after that, what was that third deal, Brad?
That third deal was our $220,000 wholesale.
Yeah. So, guys, for those of you who are looking to get started in real estate investing, you've got a W-2, you don't have a ton of time, but you want to invest in actionable intelligence and really take the reins of your financial future, and build that generational wealth. This is designed specifically for you guys, where we're going to come alongside you and hold your hand through the process and give you all the support and resources that you need to go from start to finish and make this happen. So Janelle, where's the link for more info? So Brad, you got the link? So we're going to put it in the chat.
Yeah, I'll throw it in the chat. I'll do that.
And your camera just went out again, Christian. So technical difficulties over here.
Yeah.
It's bound to happen because it's so complicated. Something's bound to break. But yes,
the Death Star is not fully operational yet.
To Janelle, to answer Janelle's question, Christian is going to be putting the link to get started with the Made Easy Mastermind to get 3 months of access to us and everything that Chris has talked about in the chat.
Out of curiosity, Brad, for looking at that runway, deal number 1, 15 grand, deal number 2, 35 grand, right? So now we're at 50 grand. Deal number 3, $220,000, right? So $270,000 within that first 3 months of you being in the business, right? What would that coaching, that training, that mentorship, that hand holding, right? All of that support, looking back on it, what would that be worth?
Oh man, what a question.
I mean, knowing what you know now about the amount of money that you made,
yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
Like today, right? Don't rewind the track back to when you didn't have that vision and what it could actually be, but knowing what you know now, like how much would you pay for something like that?
It's invaluable, knowing that you could make in 3 months $270,000. I mean, I don't know if there's a number within that range that I wouldn't have paid if I knew that I was with that knowledge, I would have made that. 50 grand, 100 grand. I mean, 150 grand. Like that the knowledge to get those deals, is invaluable. So that number really is priceless. It's hard to put a number on it. I mean, I know for a fact that $50,000 price point is not out of the question because you two worked at Fortune Builders where they sold courses for more than that to teach basically give you the resources and the coaching, but it was really at a level that
you just said the name, but you're right. And the truth is there was a lot of theory, there wasn't action.
Right.
That's what we're doing. Action.
Mike, to answer your question, this was all within the last 2 years. And when I did get those first couple deals, I was still part-time at my W-2. I was still working at my corporate job.
Were you part-time or full-time? I thought you were full-time.
I was no. I was full-time with my W-2. I was part-time investing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have been full-time. I actually transitioned out when my daughter was born. I moved, my daughter was born, and I quit my W-2 job all basically within the same month.
So,
Dude, what a time to quit, right? Your full-time job.
Yep.
yes,
When you have a kid.
What you're saying is you took on more responsibility, you moved, and I'm pretty sure your rent went up, right? So more responsibility, more overhead, and you were in the position to burn the boats, and you decided I have to burn the boats.
100%. Yeah, I was ready to take action. I had seen it. I had the knowledge and the proof of concept that made me feel comfortable enough to make that decision. And I would not have traded it for the world. I'm glad I am over the, I mean, I don't even have a word to describe how happy I am that I made the decision, because it has changed the trajectory of my life to a point where now, like you said, when my daughter was born, I have not missed a milestone. I get to watch her. She went from doing tummy time to now she's crawling. She's been standing up a little bit on her own and walking. I get to see all of that because I learned, I invested in these skills, the knowledge to be able to then get out of the rat race, work for myself, and it all came from real estate.
How much is that worth to you? Not the rat race and everything, but the ability to be right next to where your daughter is growing up all day, every day, and not have to miss those opportunities and get called into the principal's office for little talks and and all that jazz, and basically be in control of your time freedom and your financial freedom, and start the process of building generational wealth, which is ultimately going to impact your daughter. Like what is that time worth?
I know from experience, because I have a 10-year-old son. He just turned 10. And I wasn't doing investing. I was working a 9 to 5 throughout his younger years. And so I did miss things. And if I could get that back, that again is priceless. There is no number that you can put on that, that where I now don't have to miss any of that with my daughter or any other kids, because we are planning to have more, any of the kids that I have in the future. I won't have to miss any of that. And then on top of that, I know this, that I'm successful and will be, and will be set up for retirement, but so will my kids. My kids, I will pass not only, forget the properties and your generational wealth that I will acquire. I will teach them, and they will learn the skills that I have had to invest to get, so that they can go do this as well.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And that, you're in a definitely different position than me, having that real life contrast experience of your first child and having to submit to your W-2 and have your time and your flexibility and your freedom controlled and dictated by somebody else, so you can make somebody else their riches and their generational wealth, versus being able to really take control of that for yourself and step out of that W-2 role and into the person that you're really destined to be. So man, that's an awesome perspective. And, I think it definitely helps reinforce my perspective, because I didn't have that experience, but I have a daughter now, and fortunately I'm in the position that I'm in right now. But that all started with my journey and coming alongside Christian coming alongside me and mentoring me, and so that's something we want to give to our community as well.
No, I gotta say this first off. I hope my audio is better now.
Yes,
but just as much as I was mentoring Chris, and we're going to get into the questions in a minute, so all the questions that you guys have, start typing them in because we're going to start getting into the like technical questions, real estate related questions. But as much as I was mentoring Chris and teaching him things, you know, from where he didn't know about real estate to understanding real estate, he's also been teaching and mentoring me. And that is not just with sales. He's had more sales experience than me, 25 years. Like I said, I was in video production, I was in this and that. And then I got into real estate. And of course, in real estate, I was in sales, right? Negotiating contracts and deals and stuff like that. But he was teaching me how to be better at sales, but also about these real estate things that I just didn't pay attention to or focus on because I was in my niche as a seasoned real estate investor doing my thing, but not focused on the other things that he was really drawn to. So we made each other better. And it was just, that's the value that we got in community together. And it's the same value, obviously, that link in the chat right now. That's what we're offering. So I just wanted to be clear about that. It's the value of community that even if you're seasoned, if you're just getting started, just like me, I was seasoned and I still learned from Chris. So
yeah. And I think ultimately, right, looking back on this whole thing, I mean, my very first deal that I did was a $40,000 deal. Right. And, you know, we're here in Southern California. So, you know, generally speaking, you know, wholesale assignments are going to be a little bit higher here than they are in other places. But yeah, and Christian was pointing to the check on his above his shoulder there.
Yeah, I don't know if it popped on because I wasn't talking, but there it is right there, that check.
Yeah, very first check that we got in our business together. I know Christian got a lot of checks well before I was even in the picture, but yeah, it was awesome. But I know in a lot of other areas, even like smaller market areas, you know, $10,000-$15,000 is a regularly occurring transaction for wholesaling. And so guys, if you're like on the fence about should you step out and take the plunge and that leap of faith and get involved in wholesaling, at least to start, it's something that you can definitely do. I mean, Brad is a perfect example of being able to do it part-time while you're in a full-time W-2 role. And the systems and the processes that we have built out in our own business that we teach here on our YouTube channel that is going to be part of this Made Easy Mastermind will give you the time and the ability to outsource and leverage other people to do a lot of that heavy lifting for you so you can actually start getting that revenue coming in and get to a point where you can make the decision as to whether it's time for you to burn the boats and fully dive in if that's what you desire, or if it's going to be your side hustle. And quite frankly, I don't know of a better side hustle, a more valuable side hustle than this. So yeah, and Michael Lopez put in the chat, got my first $7,000 check hung on my wall. Nothing beats proof of concept. Yeah, Mike. Dude, you're a perfect example of somebody just taking action, dude. Like, you know, I know the first time we spoke, you know, after we got off that Zoom meeting, you know, I literally told Brad, I'm like, man, like that guy is an action taker, like, you know, and that's really the difference between, you know, somebody who's going to make it and somebody who's going to fake it, right? Is taking action. So, you know, for those of you who are ready to take action, now is the time. The best time to get in real estate was 30 years ago. The next best time is today, right now. So definitely click the link that's in the chat and get started. We're excited to have you guys in the Made Easy Mastermind community and really start pouring into you guys so you guys can start hanging up your first, second, third, fifth, 10th, 20th check on your wall and just have your whole wall just cluttered with checks. So let's make it easy.
Yeah, buddy. All right, we're going to get into some questions now. So Feedback Friday, that was the official announcement that we wanted to share, which we're really excited about. There are questions that we got over the last 2 weeks, which I think are really going to benefit those of you who are tuned in right now, because some of them are pretty huge. One of them is about the fake it till you make it, which is interesting because it was on a previous video from a long time ago, actually, like 2 years ago, talking about like, hey, what do you feel? Well, actually, here it is. Would you say that I should fake it until I make it? And I'm assuming that because in that video that they commented on, it was related to that. So we'll dive into that. What the heck does that mean, and why is that a good or bad thing to do? Fake it until you make it. And what the heck does that even mean? I've heard it all the time.
Yeah, I think ultimately it's all about future casting, right? Like your goal is to be a real estate investor. So act like it, walk like it, talk like it, and if you stumble along the way, like nobody's perfect, and I think my very first call with a real estate agent, was really, really eye-opening to that fact, because I certainly had imposter syndrome, even though I was in sales for 25 years, skilled talking to people, know that I can talk to people. I had this very weird barrier where I was like, I'm not a professional in the space. This agent must know more than me. And, Christian pushed me outside of my comfort zone. I was like, no, just get on the call. Just get on the call. And if you fail, you're going to fail. It's not a big deal. Right. And, I basically faked it till I made it. I acted as if, right. And so that's what that term means. Fake it till you make it. Act as if, so that when you are, right. So, just take the action, do it. The worst thing that can happen is somebody says, no, I don't want to sell my house to you, or no, I don't want to buy the property you have. Right. So it's not a big deal. Just do it.
Right. Cool. Yeah. I wouldn't really have anything to add to that other than to say, like, don't fall into a position where you are just perpetually faking it and you never make it. Because those are the people who they'll be boot camp Bettys, right? Where they'll go and they'll engage in the education, and it'll all just be theory, but then they'll never do anything with it. So another one is about skip tracing. We did a video about PropWire, and what I'm referencing is these two top couple comments as questions. Said, so you're not using PropWire to skip trace. So when you're actually taking data, right, that you pull as a list, there's not a place out there right now that I can tell you about that I have confidence in that would provide already pre-skip trace data for free. So PropWire, we've done a lot of promotions, a lot of videos about it. And what we've come to the conclusion of is it's a great resource to use to get property data, to do some research, and it is free. But now, since that video came out, I don't know, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, PropWire actually included skip tracing, and they have this thing where you have to load money up into a wallet, and it's like 15 cents a record. Let me just put it this way. I recommend you use PropWire to skip trace bulk lists. I recommend you use Best Skip Tracer. And, we have affiliate links we'll drop if you want to use those to support the channel, and we'd say thanks to that. But regardless, it's bestskiptracer.com. You'll also get like a bonus if you
actually, yeah, I would. So if you're going to use Best Skip Tracer, the link that we share actually gets you 50% off your first month in the form of skip credits, skip coins. Right. So if you're going to skip trace, you're going to get half of the first month's subscription credited towards your skip tracing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the value. But all that's to just say, like, if you're going to do it in bulk, use Best Skip Tracer, and get half off your first month. And then the other piece to that is the question is, so basically to avoid skip tracing things twice, you make a list to be more specific. This is to the main point of that video, and it's called Real Estate Investing Fail, Data Management and PropWire Review. So it was mostly about data management, and this is so critical because every single investor that's on here, especially if you're just starting out, however, this is a symptom that we see for a failure spot in seasoned investors' businesses. They don't manage their data, and they spend way more money than they need to when we're targeting off-market properties, because what they'll do is they'll just pull lists, then they'll pull the same type of list. New properties popped up in that same type of list, but they don't cross-reference it. They don't manage their data appropriately and save it month over month. I'll put a link to this video, actually, for those of you who want to see it in the chat here. It's really eye-opening, and it has been for a lot of people, to manage your data appropriately. It's just a way to be organized, because most of us aren't organized. I'm kind of organized. Chris is not really organized at all. Brad is kind of in between Chris and I. But you need organization in your business. And it's the same way with tracking your KPIs and your metrics. So I'll put the link into that video, and I hope that answered your question. And that was Quentin Drivery.
And by the way, in the chat, Janelle has a very pertinent question regarding the mastermind. So for a newbie, what is a reasonable approximate cost to get started after signing up for the program? Average monthly costs to set up systems to run the business part-time while working a full-time job? That's a great question, Janelle. And I'll say that depends, because there's a few different processes and systems that we can help you implement into your business. And they will vary, right? So it's going to be dependent on what your budget is. I can tell you that with our on-market offer system process, you can basically do everything with a budget pretty limited, to less than $300 a month. Possibly even a little bit lower than that. So hopefully that answers your question, and we're excited to get started with you, and we're looking forward to working with you on this. So
yeah. So the other part to that too is you want to consider what your month-over-month budget is. We also have the process for on-market deals versus off-market deals. We're about to go into a season where we'll have a little bit of a dip, possibly, depending on who you ask, a really big dip. Well, we know we're going into a recession in general in the United States. That comes with a lot of sellers catching up 3 months after the fact, right? We're still seeing a real estate market in general, even though we know it's all local. So different markets in different cities are going to be, reacting differently. But there are sellers who are still looking at expectations of their value of the property all the way up here, when really it's down here now. So as it kind of flips, we'll see, as we go into this recession, off-market opportunities skyrocket even more than they are right now. That's not to say we're not getting on-market opportunities as well, which is the second thing. And that is, on-market opportunities is a way that we would suggest. And remember when Chris said, hey, when Christian and I first linked up, I got on the phone with a real estate agent, and he pushed me to get on the phone with a real estate agent, and I was surprised with the results. We were doing on-market stuff even then, and arguably off-market stuff was probably even better in terms of the return on our investment, because we've been doing off-market that entire time and currently. But we were also doing on-market stuff. So that said, at some point you want to get to both, but especially if you're cutting your teeth, we can direct you to how to do on-market for the price points and the investments every month into your own business in the $300, $400 mark. And maybe, if you want to go hard, like maybe a little bit more than that, but just get started. Just start out and then take the appropriate action. Not what Chris calls rocking chair motion, because then you're just staying in one place. And that's the whole point to mentorship and coaching. A lot of people take a lot of action and they're not getting a result, and it's because they're doing the rocking chair motion.
Yeah, it's the way you are doing it. We've done them all, and we can come alongside you and show you how to be successful, whether you do on or off market or both, and show you how to scale.
Yep. And sometimes, right, like, while it's super valuable to point you in the direction of things you should be taking action on, it's also just as valuable to point you at things that you should avoid taking action on, what you should stop doing. Oftentimes, people are like water, right? Water flows to the path of least resistance. And so generally humans by nature, they go to the path of least resistance. They go to the activities that are the simplest and easiest. And oftentimes that is not a revenue generating activity. And so it's important to have a mentor and a coach alongside you so that they can point out what you're doing that you should stop doing for now. It might be something that you need to do later, or you need to leverage, an assistant for, or a VA for. But in order to get started and really get your business growing and get revenue coming in, you really need to specifically take action on things that are going to generate revenue, and then backfill the things that are, all the minutia, right? So, and Mike Lopez just commented, the way y'all run on market has been a game changer, focusing on making offers. Absolutely, Michael. Yeah, and at the end of the day, right, like we could say that all day long, but really it's you that takes the action on doing that, because even in that on-market offer system, there's a lot of little minutia that you could just spend a lot of your time doing and it take away from making the offers. But because you're like focusing on the right activity, that's really what's important. So appreciate your support, Mike. You've been awesome to work with. And Janelle, let us know if you have any other questions. I know we're a bit over time here. Is there anything else you guys wanted to chime in with before we jump off?
Yeah, just to say that Mike is doing on and off market, right? So there's a point in time where you should be doing both, because both are really valuable. There's just different timelines. You're always going to be filling up a pipeline, which if you've never done a deal and you're getting started, today is day one, whatever day you're seeing this, then it could be a month. It could be 3 months. And it all depends on taking the right actions and building your pipeline, because closings vary. Timelines on closings, it all varies. So just know that it's not a get rich quick scheme. It can be just a get rich, not a scheme. And you guys might have seen that in the 15-minute intro we had leading up, where Chris and I were talking about that same thing. So that's what I wanted to leave you guys with. But I appreciate everybody's attendance and interaction. It's been awesome hanging out with everybody here. Thanks for everyone who dropped some comments and questions too.
Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, we'll see you guys later.
Janelle, looking forward to meeting you.
Same. Thanks, Janelle.